Back here in the continent, we turn our attention now to the conflict in Sudan, where former president of Sudan, Omar al-Bashir, has been moved from a hospital where he has been since war broke out in the country in April last year to a secure military site. A lawyer to Mr. al-Bashir, Mohammed al-Hassan Al-Min, says his client, alongside 4 others, have been transferred from the medical corps after the health care there ran out completely. Mr. Bashir, who had been convicted for corruption and is facing trial for leading a military coup in 1989, was receiving treatment at a military hospital that came under siege by the paramilitary rapid support forces. Sudan's regional and international partners have failed to mediate between the army and RSF throughout the war that has killed at least 14,000 people and displaced about 10 million others. In the meantime, the UN Security Council Committee has established portions to Resolution 1591 on Sudan. Chairperson of the committee, John Cook Hong, also reminded the warring parties that those who commit violations of international humanitarian law may be subject to targeted sanctions and other measures. In his briefing to the Council, U.S. Ambassador Robert Wood expressed concerns about reports of blatant violations of the UN arms embargo, the transit of weapons into Darfur from Eastern Chad, Libya, and the Central African Republic. For his part, Sudanese representative Amar Mohamed Mahmoud said an end to the sanctions would allow the government to better protect its civilians and effectively deal with the rapid support forces.
In both the final and the quarterly reports, the panel updated the committee on increasing violence against civilians, including widespread cases of sexual and gender-based violence in the conflict across Darfur, particularly in the West Darfur. The panel reported on violations of the arms embargo, violations of international humanitarian and human rights law, ethnically based recruitment by the warring parties, complex financing schemes established by armed groups active in Darfur.
We remain concerned by reporting of blatant violations of the UN arms embargo, particularly the scale and frequency of the transit of weapons into Darfur from eastern Chad, Libya, and the Central African Republic. We are committed to sharing information on such transfers with the CAR and Sudan panels and urge other member states to facilitate UN sanctions panels carrying out their mandates. We call on all member states and warring parties to fully comply with the arms embargo measures. External parties that provide material support to the warring parties in violation of the arms embargo are complicit in the loss of thousands of lives and the devastation of countless more.
Putting an end to the sanctions would allow the Sudanese government to better protect its civilians and would allow the Sudanese armed forces to deal effectively in facing and ending the violations perpetrated by the Rapid Support Militia and the atrocities that they have been perpetrating against civilians, children and women, and their systematic destruction of infrastructure, public facilities, civilian assets and private property.
And still ahead on the program, visitors enjoy breathtaking fields of peach blossoms in Spain. We are back in just a moment. Please stay with us. Thanks indeed for staying with us. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg is calling on Armenia and Azerbaijan to reach an agreement over territorial disputes. And this comes as Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan warned of war with Azerbaijan by the end of the week after disagreements over certain settlements in the border region. Baku retook the breakaway in the republic governed by ethnic Armenians in September, and the sides have been working towards a peace agreement.
We discussed the importance of stability in the South Caucasus. This matters for Euro-Atlantic security as we face a more dangerous world. Armenia and Azerbaijan now have an opportunity to achieve an enduring peace after years of conflict. This is why I urge both countries to reach an agreement paving the way for normalization of relations and a durable peace for your people. NATO supports Armenian sovereignty and territorial integrity.
And to other stories, voters headed to the polls in West Palm Beach on Tuesday to select their preferred candidate in the upcoming elections as 5 states across the U.S. held their presidential primaries. This year's Florida primaries are only open to Republican voters, with the Democratic Party placing incumbent President Joe Biden as their sole candidate. And former U.S. President Donald Trump remains the only candidate still standing on the Republican ballot after all 6 of his rivals, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, dropped out of the race.
My fellow Americans, this is an important day for our democracy. I beg you, please do not vote for Donald Trump. We do not want to live in a dictatorship. We want to be free. We fight for our freedom. We don't fight for dictators. God bless America.
I have to say that it's a privilege and something that people should not take for granted. Many countries around the world, they don't have this system and they cannot vote. So I think Americans should be very thankful for that privilege and they should take advantage of it, because people that are representing us actually can make our life better or worse. So it's a good decision to vote and, make your voice heard.
Our democracy is at stake. That's what the Democrats keep saying it over and over. So the big question is, are you happier now when you were 4 years ago, or where are you? America needs to wake up. We have an unbelievable influx of immigrants coming in this country. God bless them, but they need to come in legally.
Away from the U.S., at least 8 sailors are dead and 2 others missing after a South Korean flagged tanker overturned off the west coast of Japan. One other sailor was found in a non-threatening condition when the Kyongsung capsized off Yamaguchi Prefecture this morning. The crew had radioed for help while the ship was anchored due to stormy weather, and Japanese Coast Guard sent boats and aircraft to assist close to the city of Shimonoseki. At least 2 people have been killed after heavy rains unleashed flash floods in Iraq City. According to authorities, more than 30 houses were also damaged in the downpour. Rescue crews can be seen pulling vehicles from waterlogged roads, while crew whirled with excavators to drain the floods from the streets. Drivers have been told to avoid taking the Barzan highway due to heavy flooding. Rainstorms lashed several Iraqi cities, triggering flash floods in various areas of that country while causing disruption to traffic and businesses. And 2 suspected poachers have been shot dead in a shootout with Zimbabwe Rangers since near the Kalungulu border posts in Matabeleland North Province. 3 other suspects were arrested, but 1 escaped during Tuesday's incident. Zimbabwe's Parks and Wildfire Management Authority spokesperson Tinashe Farawo posted the information on X, adding that the Rangers recovered about 15 tugs of elephants, a .375 rifle and 5 rounds of ammunition. The incident comes barely 2 months after 6 elephants were killed by poisoning before their tusks were removed by suspected poachers in Shangani Wildfire Conservancy, which is close to the national park. And back here in Nigeria, there will be more opportunity for Nigerian students and members of the creative industry to study and train in the U.S., all thanks to the launch of the Window on America at the University of Lagos and programs to hone their craft. These and many more the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, Ms. Lee Shatterfield, made during her foreign policy speech in Lagos. Foreign Affairs correspondent Amarachi Ubani tells us more.
Higher education remains a sure way to gain knowledge that will impact society for good. Hence, the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Educational and Cultural Affairs picked the University of Lagos to make her foreign policy speech in Nigeria. Ahead of her speech, Vice Chancellor of the university, Professor Folashade Ogushola, welcomed Ms. Lee Satterfield to Nigeria, and especially to the university for being one of the lead hosts of the highest number of Fulbright scholars and educational exchange program in Nigeria.
At the present count, we have over 38 Fulbright scholars in this university. And I understand, because I didn't know, that we are one of the top universities for hosting Fulbright scholars that come in from the United States. So we're very happy. But we've had other relationships with the United States. We've had quite a number of research grants written together. We've had scholars come here. We have scholars who have gone. We have students who have traveled to the U.S. And we have a huge number of alumni in the United States.
Ms. Satterfield then takes the stage to inform Nigerians of the U.S. government foreign policy on education.
Hello.
She mentions the launch of the Open Window on America and other fellowship programs to enhance relations between the two countries.
Today I want to announce the launch of the Africa Creative TV Initiative. It's a new professional development program that will focus on TV writers, producers, and this below-the-line professionals to create this industry and grow even stronger the collaboration between our two countries. I'm also happy to unlock an educational initiative, unlock the creative economy both here in Nigeria and in the United States, elevating the importance of education through our community college initiative. And typically that is a program that we offer for students to come and study in the United States in more traditional fields. This year we're opening a program for the creative economy through script to screen process. We're going to select 4 Nigerian filmmaking students to come for a year in a community college in the United States.
My question is...
A brief fireside chat opened the door for questions and answers from university students.
High school study exchange or programs for...
Nigeria is set to be the #1 provider of international students in the United States and #7 in the world. The U.S. seeks to reciprocate the favor by providing more opportunity for students and professionals to rub minds with colleagues from around the world. Amarachi Ubani, Channel Television News.
And finally on the program, visitors flocked to Spain's Aitona to enjoy breathtaking fields of peach blossom trees. The field covered in pink, vibrant peach blossoms saw tourists from all over the world partake in the experience, with some taking pictures of the unique flowers. Aitona has been a magnificent spot to experience flower viewing, locally called Hanimi. The city attracts around 20,000 visitors across the globe to witness the peach blossoms landscape during the bloom. The flowers usually flourish in mid-March when spring arrives, and visitors will be able to witness their beauty for about 2 weeks before the blossoms fade away. And so we have 2 weeks to enjoy the carpets of pink in Spain's Aitona. And that does it for us here on the show, everyone. Thanks indeed for watching. I am Kelly Egiga. Bye now.